Okay, while typing this, I am shaking. I have been keeping this inside for weeks now, and I am finally ready to let it out just. Maybe because I am too angry to hold it anymore. Maybe because my phone is literally blowing up from people at that dinner who were acting like they have no clue why I left. Like I just casually walked out for no reason while 6 months pregnant. Okay, so here is the full story, and I am not going to sugarcoat it. I guess the first weird thing was how quiet he was when I told him I was pregnant. We had been trying for years. 2 miscarriages, 1 chemical. I had cried in bathrooms, in grocery store aisles, in the car. We spent so much money on tracking apps and ovulation strips and vitamins that made me nauseous. He was there for all of it, or at least physically there. I thought he wanted this too. He said he did. He would hold me when I cried after a failed test. He said stuff like, "We'll get there, we always do." So, when I finally saw those 2 pink lines, I was shaking. I was smiling so hard my face hurt. I waited a day just to be sure. Took like 4 more tests, even booked a blood test just to confirm. And when I told him, I swear to God, he just blinked. Not a smile, not a hug, not even a really, he just said, "Okay." I laughed. I thought he was shocked. I was like, "You're in shock, right?" And he said, "I just need time to process." And he went back to scrolling on his phone. I remember the screen was on some Reddit thread about mechanical keyboards. I remember because I stared at it too long, trying to make sense of how that could be more interesting than what I just told him. But I let it go. I told myself he was overwhelmed. People react weird sometimes. Maybe he was scared. Maybe he just needed time. But then time kept passing and nothing changed. No questions about appointments, no touching my belly, no "how are you feeling today" stuff. If I brought up the baby, he would change the subject, or sometimes he would just go quiet, like completely stone silent. It was so weird. And I am not even the type to be all gushy about pregnancy. I was sick, bloated, tired. I had backaches. I was not glowing. I was just surviving. And it felt like he was watching me do it from across a glass wall. One night, I asked him directly, like, "Do you still want this?" And he said, "I do not know what you want me to say." And then he walked out and went to go play his games. Not even mad, just done. I should have pushed harder, right then, but I was so tired. And honestly, I kept thinking something was wrong with me. Like maybe I was being too sensitive. Maybe he was just stressed. Maybe it was the pressure. I told my mom about it, and she said men do not always bond with the baby until it is born. I told my friend Elizabeth, and she said it was probably just anxiety. So I kept giving him the benefit of the doubt. And then came the dinner. Henley, his sister, invited us over. She was doing one of her family catch-up nights. She is one of those people who posts every meal like it is a food blog and acts like she is the queen of hospitality. Her husband is whatever. The kids are loud but fine. His mom was there too, which was kind of rare. She usually avoids drama, but she came that night, and I think now that was intentional. I wore a dress I had not worn in a while because it finally fit again. My bump was showing just enough to be cute. I curled my hair. I felt good. I thought maybe this would be the night Brandon would snap out of it. Like seeing me happy and surrounded by family would make it real for him. I was stupid. I know that now. We get to the house and already is awkward. Henley opens the door and the first thing she says is, "Wow, you're finally showing." I was starting to think it was a fake pregnancy or something. And then she laughs like it is a joke. I just kind of smiled and walked in. Brandon did not say anything. Not even a "don't say that." We sit down. Small talk. Wine is poured. Not for me, obviously. They talk about some trip they are planning next year. And Henley says, "Guess you won't be able to come with a baby and all." And Brandon goes or without depending on how things go and then laughs. I looked at him and he looked away. I remember my hands were on my lap and I was pressing my fingers into my thighs to keep calm. And then we start talking about baby names. I had not told anyone yet what names I was considering, but I mentioned one, just one, that I liked. And Henley just snorts and says, "That sounds like a stripper name." I said nothing. I just looked at Brandon, waited, and he didn't even flinch. And then he says, and I swear to God this is exactly what he said, "We don't even know if it's mine." Ever heard of cheating in DNA tests? His mom goes pale. Henley bursts out laughing, and I just froze. And then Henley, because she is truly evil, goes, "That kid's doomed with her as a mother." Anyway, I felt like I was watching a movie, like none of this could actually be happening in real life. I looked around. No one said a word. No one told them to stop. I put down my fork, pushed my chair back, stood up, and looked directly at him, and I said, "You're right. This child doesn't deserve a father like you." And then I turned and walked out. No one followed me. No one said my name. I walked to the car, got in, and drove home. I have not seen him since. That was 3 weeks ago. He has texted once saying I overreacted, and that he was joking and trying to lighten the mood. I did not reply. His mom texted me too, said she was sorry things got tense, and that family dinners can be stressful. She asked if I would be open to clearing the air over lunch. I blocked her. My mom is furious. She said if she had been there, she would have flipped the whole damn table. She offered to come stay with me for a bit, and I think I might let her. But the thing is, I am not sad. I am angry, like how dare he treat me like this. After everything, after the years of trying, the loss, the pain, how dare he act like this baby is a burden or worse, a weapon to use against me in front of his family. I am carrying our child and he humiliated me like it was a game. So no, I am not sad, I am done. I am going to raise this baby without him. I am going to build a life that does not include a man who jokes about DNA tests and sits silent while his sister attacks me. I do not care if that makes me a single mom or whatever label people want to use. This baby will never have to wonder why their mom stayed with someone who treated her like she was disposable. And Brandon, he can sit with his little jokes and his silence and wonder why the room feels so empty now. I guess that is the part I cannot stop thinking about, how quiet it got when I stood up. Like they all knew deep down that I was the only one willing to say what needed to be said. And now I am making plans. I have an appointment next week to talk to someone about my options legally, financially, everything. And I do not want advice. I do not want to give him a chance. He might change. I just needed to say it out loud. I am not going back. And if he ever wants to see me or this baby again, he better be ready to beg because I am not letting this go. Not this time. First update. Okay, so if you read my last post, you already know what happened at the dinner. The one where Brandon humiliated me in front of his family while I was 6 months pregnant. The one where his sister laughed and said my kid was doomed. The one where he made that disgusting crack about the baby not being his. Yeah, that dinner. I left. I walked out and I meant it. I was done. I cut off contact, blocked his number, blocked his mom, blocked his demon sister, moved in with my cousin Christy, who had a spare room and a mattress on the floor and a working air fryer, and I started figuring out what the hell my next move was going to be. I was still pregnant, still tired, still alone, but it was weirdly peaceful. And then he showed up. Not right away, not even that week. But about 10 days later, I started noticing weird stuff. Like one morning, I went out to the parking lot and there was a box sitting on the hood of my car. No note, just a box. Inside was a little pink onesie with a rainbow on it. Still in the plastic. Tags on, price marked down. It looked like it had been grabbed off some clearance rack last minute. I thought maybe it was from Christy's mom or someone at her church. Nope. Next day, there was a folded piece of paper taped to the front door. It just said, "I miss you. Please talk to me." No name, but I recognized the handwriting. He used to scribble lists on the back of receipts and leave them on the counter. Same weird capital R. I did not say anything. I let it sit. Then came the crib. A big-ass box left right outside the apartment door. No note this time, just the box. One of those cribs that converts into a toddler bed. All grow with your child or whatever. I googled the model number, it was expensive. Like, why are you dropping hundreds on a piece of furniture when you could have just not insulted our child's existence in front of a table full of people who laughed along with you? I dragged the box inside and left it unopened in the hallway. Christy raised her eyebrows, but did not say anything. I think she could tell I was holding back something nuclear. And then the worst part, he showed up in person. I had just gotten off a video call with my insurance rep trying to figure out how the hell to register my upcoming birth without listing him as the father. Whole thing is hellish, by the way. And I was walking downstairs to throw out some trash. And there he was, standing awkwardly by the mailboxes like he was waiting for a package. He was holding a paper bag with handles and some kind of stuffed animal poking out the top. I stopped walking. He looked up, saw me, and flinched. And I swear he said this. "I just wanted to give you this and talk. If you are not too busy, like I am just casually waddling around at almost 7 months pregnant with nothing better to do than humor." The man who made a joke about cheating in DNA tests at a family dinner. I told him to leave. He said no, just 5 minutes just to explain. I said no again. Then he muttered something like under his breath, but loud enough for me to hear about how I was being dramatic and cold and how he was trying to make things right. And that is when I lost it. I walked right up to him, grabbed the bag from his hand, and threw it in the trash bin next to us. I told him he does not get to rewrite what happened. He does not get to show up with overpriced furniture and toys and act like he reacted badly. And now we are just going to pretend none of it happened. He said he was sorry, said he was just scared, said he was overwhelmed, said he did not mean it, said he thought I would get over it. I asked him what exactly did he think I was going to get over. The part where he said maybe the baby wasn't his, or the part where he stayed silent while his sister called me a joke of a mother. He said it was a bad night, that everyone was drinking, that people say dumb things when they are nervous. I reminded him no one was drunk. It was a Tuesday. His sister served lemonade and sparkling water. His mom drove home after. There was no alcohol at all. He blinked like he forgot. He tried to touch my arm. I stepped back and then, and this is where it flipped from pathetic to infuriating. He said this. "I already told my mom we are working it out. She's expecting to come visit when the baby's born. I just thought we could keep this private for now, so it is not a whole thing." I swear my jaw actually dropped. I said, "You told your family we were back together?" He nodded like it was just a normal thing, like that was the logical next step. I slapped him, not hard, not out of rage, more like just pure disbelief. Like my hand moved before my brain even caught up. I slapped him and then I turned around, walked back upstairs, slammed the door, locked it, and sat on the floor for like 10 minutes just blinking into space. It gets worse. A couple days later, I get a call from Elizabeth. She says she ran into Henley. Yes, that Henley. And Henley apparently started talking like nothing ever happened. Said she was so excited for the baby, said she was glad things were smoothing out, said she knew Brandon would come around eventually. So now I know what the crib and the onesie and the stuffed animal were really about. It was not about me, it was not about the baby. It was about optics, about saving face, about making sure he still looked like the golden boy who got his act together and made it work with his baby mama. I was fuming. So, I did what I should have done the second that crib showed up. I dragged it back down to his mother's house. Yes, I did. I strapped the box into Christy's car with bungee cords and I drove it right over to his mom's house. Not even a text, just knocked on the door and waited. His mom opened it, looked surprised, said, "Oh, hi, you look well." I said, "Is Brandon here?" She said, "No, he was at work." I said, "Good." And I will never forget this. I pushed the box inside the doorway, walked in and said, "Just returning the lie he sent me." She looked confused. She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Your son told you we are working it out. We are not, and we will not be. And if you show up at the hospital or at my apartment or anywhere near this child when she is born, I will file a restraining order so fast it will make your head spin." Then I turned to leave and she said quietly, like she was trying not to escalate, "You are making this harder than it has to be." And I just laughed, like actually let out a laugh, because that is the thing, right? Women like me are always making it harder, always overreacting, always too emotional or too angry when we do not let people get away with treating us like garbage. I walked out, slammed the door behind me. I have not heard from him since, not directly anyway, but I know he is still trying to spin the story. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that he is telling people I had a hormonal breakdown and that he forgives me even though I lashed out. He is painting himself as the forgiving one, the mature one. I am not even surprised anymore. It is just what he does. Makes a mess, then plays the hero for cleaning it up. But here is the thing. I am not cleaning it up for him. He can keep his crib. He can keep his stories. He can keep pretending this baby was ever about him. Because the truth is, he never wanted to be a dad. Not really. He liked the idea of it, the role, the image. But the second it became real, the second it involved sacrifice or discomfort or God forbid accountability, he folded. And now he is trying to glue the mask back on. But I already saw his face. I am getting closer to my due date now. I have a plan. I have support. Elizabeth is going to be with me when I go into labor. Christy already packed a bag for the hospital. We are figuring it out. Second update. Okay, so I know I said I was done with him after the whole crib stunt and fake reconciliation lie, and I was. But what happened after that? Yeah, no one could have prepared me for that. My daughter was born in early spring. She came a little early but healthy, wide eyes and a little wrinkle between her eyebrows like she was already suspicious of the world. Christy was with me in the delivery room. Elizabeth came the next morning with bagels and a balloon that said, "You did it, bitch." I did not tell him. I did not tell his sister. I did not tell anybody from that side. And I did not put his name on the birth certificate. Some people said I was being harsh, that he had a right to know. But he gave up that right the second he turned my pregnancy into a punchline. The second he let his sister laugh in my face and said nothing. The second he decided to rewrite reality instead of apologizing. I was not playing games. I was protecting my kid. Anyway, a few months go by. I am adjusting. Not sleeping much, figuring things out one crisis at a time. Formula stains on every shirt I own. I forget what hot coffee tastes like. You know the deal. And then one night I get a message. Not from him, not from anyone I expected. It was from Carter. Now Carter was Brandon's best friend for a long time. They kind of drifted apart a couple years before all this. I never knew why. They were inseparable for a while, and then suddenly they stopped talking. Brandon said Carter got weird, started blaming him for stuff. I did not push. I figured it was guy drama. So Carter messages me totally out of nowhere. Just says, "Hey, I heard what happened. I know it is none of my business, but there is something you should probably know. It might explain a lot." I stared at the screen for a good 10 minutes. I was tired. Baby was sleeping on my chest. I almost ignored it. But curiosity won. I said, "Go ahead." And then he hit me with it. Okay, so apparently back when Brandon was in his early 22nd, he got someone pregnant. Not me, not an ex I knew about, someone he dated for like 6 months. They were not serious. She got pregnant. She told him and he freaked out. Not just I am not ready. Freaked out like full-on meltdown. He begged her not to have the baby. Said he was not cut out for it. Said it would ruin his life. She ended up terminating. And Brandon, he never got over it. But not in a grief way. Not like he was sad about losing a child. More like he felt betrayed that she made the decision without keeping him in control of it. According to Carter, he twisted the whole thing in his head. Convinced himself that pregnancy power trap that women use babies to manipulate. That it is always about power. And ever since then, he has had this thing like a deep messed up resentment toward the idea of being a father. Like it is some punishment waiting to happen. Carter said he noticed it when Brandon would make these dark jokes about getting tied down or never trusting a positive test. Said he brushed it off at first, but then it got worse, more bitter, more mean. When I had my miscarriages, that side of him was hidden. He was supportive, or at least he looked like he was. But now that I think about it, he was more relieved than sad. I see it now. The way he would change the subject, how he never wanted to talk about trying again, how he would flinch when I showed him baby stuff. He did not want to be a dad, not even with me. I sat with that information for a while. It made me sick, not because I did not believe it, but because it fit. It made too much sense. And yeah, I know people have trauma, I know people have bad experiences and fears and whatever, but he never said a word, never gave me the chance to understand. He just let me take all the heat, let me think I was the problem, then humiliated me in front of a table full of people who would rather laugh than help. So, I decided to return the favor. I posted a photo, not a soft one, not a sweet one, not look how happy I am, or single mom life, or any of that curated crap. It was me and my baby sitting on the floor of the living room. She had just spit up on me. I had not washed my hair in 3 days. She was wearing a onesie that said, "Raised by wolves and thriving." My caption was simple. "You said she was a mistake, but she is the only thing I've never doubted." I knew he would see it. How? Because his sister still follows Christy, and Christy had reposted it. And Henley watches everything Christy does like clockwork. And Henley cannot resist sending screenshots to her brother. It is like a compulsion. I did not tag him. I did not need to. Less than an hour later, I got a message. He said the photo was unfair, said I was dragging him publicly, said I was alienating his daughter from him. His daughter. I laughed out loud. I wrote back, "You alienated yourself the second you made jokes about DNA tests in front of your entire family. What exactly are you trying to come back to? The baby you never wanted or the image you were trying to fix?" He left me on red. A few days later, a letter came in the mail. Yes, a handwritten letter like we are in some period drama. It was from his mother. She said she was concerned. Said she was worried about the long-term emotional impact of denying a child access to her father. Said she knew Brandon had struggled, but that he was trying. Said children need both parents. I did not respond. I took the letter, I folded it up, and I stuck it inside a baby book I am making. Not the cutesy kind, more like a memory archive. Real stuff, screenshots, letters, the truth. Because one day my daughter is going to ask questions and she deserves answers, not excuses. But here is where it gets good. I ran into Henley in public at the store. I was in the baby aisle. She was buying some soap or whatever. She saw me, tried to walk past like she did not recognize me. I called out to her. She stopped, turned, fake smile. I said, "Hey." She said, "Hey." Awkward silence. Then she said, kind of stiff, "How is the baby?" I said, "She is great, thanks for asking." She just started smiling when I sing off key. Henley gave this weird half laugh, and then she said, "You know Brandon is hurting, right?" I stared at her. She said, "He feels like you are punishing him." I said, "He is being punished with the truth." She said, "You do not have to be cruel." I said, "Neither did he." And then I walked away. I do not care if he is hurting. You do not get to treat people like garbage and then cry about the smell. You do not get to sabotage something beautiful and then beg to be part of it once it is convenient. You do not get to mock a pregnancy and then call yourself a father once the photos start circulating. He made his choice, and now he gets to live with it. I am not trying to be the bigger person anymore. Final update. I didn't think I'd ever hear from him again. It wasn't something I thought about every day or expected to happen. He just disappeared. No calls, no texts, no asking about our daughter, no how are you, nothing. Total silence. And after a while, I got used to it. I stopped thinking about him completely. Not out of anger, just because there was no reason to. He wasn't part of our life anymore. Then a letter showed up. Plain envelope, no return address, just my name on it. I thought it was junk mail at first, but when I picked it up and looked at the handwriting, I recognized it. I hadn't seen it in 6 years, but I knew exactly who it was from. I opened it in the kitchen while my daughter was brushing her teeth, and I had laundry going in the background. I didn't expect much, but it still pissed me off. He said he'd been in therapy, said he was sorry, said he'd made a lot of mistakes and was trying to be better, said he thought about our daughter all the time, said he knew he didn't have a right to anything, but if there was any way I'd let him just see her, even from far away, he'd be grateful. I read it once, folded it up, put it in a drawer we mostly use for pens that don't work and expired coupons. I didn't answer right away. I didn't even tell anyone. Not Christy, not Elizabeth. I just sat with it for a while, not because I was confused, but because I wanted to think it through before reacting. After all these years, he suddenly wanted to show up again. I didn't believe the timing was random. It never is with people like him. They only come back when it starts to bother them. And I wasn't thinking about doing this for him, or for me, or even for our daughter, really. I just thought maybe it's better if he sees what he walked away from. So I texted him from a number I don't use anymore. Saturday, 3 p.m., Lakeside Park bench by the Willow. You sit, you do not approach, you do not speak to her. 10 minutes, that's all. He replied an hour later. Said he'd be there. Said thank you. I didn't respond. My daughter, I'll call her Jay, is 6 now. She's smart, curious, always asking questions, always jumping from one thought to the next. She still doesn't really ask about him. She knows she has a father somewhere, but it's not something that seems to weigh on her. She doesn't feel like she's missing anything. I told her we were going to the park. I didn't say anything else. She grabbed her purple hoodie and asked if we could get ice cream after. That was it. When we got to the park, it was quiet. Not a lot of people around. She ran ahead like she always does, trying to balance on the edge of the path like it was a tightrope. I saw him before he saw us. He was sitting on the bench. I told him looked a little thinner. Same haircut, same way of fidgeting with his hands when he's nervous. He was staring at the ground. When he looked up and saw her, he froze. She didn't even notice him. She was too busy looking at a ladybug on her sleeve and yelling for me to come see it. I walked up slowly, didn't get too close. He stood up, looked like he wanted to say something. I stopped a few feet away and told him quietly that this was his one chance and he needed to remember what he said all those years ago. I reminded him he was the one who said he didn't want her, that he said it wasn't his, that he made jokes in front of his family and watched them laugh, while I sat there pregnant with the child he was already rejecting. I told him that I didn't care if he had changed, that it didn't matter what he felt now. He left, he stayed gone, and she grew up without him. And she's fine. He didn't argue, didn't say anything, just looked like he was trying not to fall apart. Jay ran back to me holding a rock that she said looked like a potato. She smiled, told me she wanted to keep it as a pet rock. I said okay. She asked if we could get ice cream now. I said yes. We started walking away, and she waved at him without thinking, just a polite wave the way she does with strangers. I looked at him one last time and said, "You've seen her. That's more than you earned. Don't contact us again." Then we left. He didn't follow. I don't know what he thought would happen. Maybe he thought seeing her would change something. Maybe he thought she'd recognize him somehow. Maybe he thought I would. But she didn't. And I didn't. He missed everything. 6 years of firsts. 6 years of scraped knees, birthday parties, bedtime stories, weird art projects, jokes that only make sense to her. 6 years of real life. He missed it all. And now he has to live with that. I don't feel sorry for him. I don't forgive him. I don't hate him either. There's just nothing left there. Not for me, not for her. He got exactly what he gave us. Nothing. I didn't need to yell at him. I didn't need to cry. I didn't need to explain myself. I didn't need to prove anything. He saw her, and he saw that she's okay. Better than okay. She's happy, loved, full of her own ideas and her own world. And he's not part of it. And he never will be. The only thing he gets to hold on to now is the image of her walking away. And honestly, that's enough for me. Edit. For those asking, no, I'm not planning to tell my daughter who he was anytime soon. If she asks when she's older, I'll tell her the truth. But for now, she's just a happy kid. And that's all she needs to be. Edit 2. And for the people saying I should have let her talk to him. She didn't ask to. She's not missing anything. She has people who love her and who've been here the whole time. She's not lacking a father. She just never had one to begin with. There's a difference. Thanks to everyone who read all the way through. I didn't write any of this looking for advice or pity, just needed to put it somewhere.